Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi.
I am teacher Stephanie from teachingstephanie.com. That always trips me up. And Teaching Stephanie on Instagram. And I am so excited. This is my first ever live. And I was telling these cute ladies that I am equal parts terrified and equal parts excited. It's so scary to go live just because I can't edit all my little bloopers. And so you get to see just me in all of my mess ups and all of my sadness, really. But I'm so excited. Today we are talking about teaching full-time with Outschool, which I am not an expert in at all. I teach part-time. I teach 1 to 2 hours every morning. So about 10 hours each week. I've never done even more than 20 hours a week at a time. So I'm so excited. I found these people on Instagram or on Facebook. I was like, does anybody teach full time that could share their experience? And these guys were willing to come on and to let me just pick their brain. So I'm so excited to have them join me. I'll have all their links down in the description if you want to check out their classes, if you want to check out their channels and their social media, all of that. It's down in the description box. And if you want to apply to Outschool too, I'll leave my link there. I have tons of free resources. I offer a lot of coaching and application review and all of that. You can check that out there. But I'm going to let these ladies start to introduce themselves. So I'm so excited they are here. Let's start with Evelyn. Evelyn, tell us about your background, how you got into teaching online, all of it.
Okay, so I was certified K through 12 many moons ago. By the color of my hair, you can tell that. So, and then I transitioned. I taught in public and private schools for about 6 years, and I taught everything from first grade to 10th grade because my certification, although it's K through 8, I also had extra certification in reading and math, so I could teach those upper level subjects. And then when I had our first child, I stayed home, and then I began to homeschool them. So I never went back into the public, private, brick and mortar school until after my youngest was like about to graduate. And then I started teaching other homeschool families in person, right? So I was teaching public speaking and American government to groups of homeschoolers. And it was a really neat opportunity, but then everything shut down. And that is when I discovered that teaching online was way more fun than I had expected it to be. And
awesome.
It's really amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So when it came to the next year, my in-person students were cut in half because of the pandemic, and they're homeschoolers, so they can stay home, right? They didn't have to go out. So I started looking around. This is not going to work financially. We need some more. And so I found Outschool, and I applied, and that's how I found Outschool in the fall, really last summer, basically.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, that's amazing. I'm sorry, I'm playing around with
that's fine.
Getting you on the screen so that we're not all just awkwardly staring at you and going, But that was awesome. That's so cool. And to hear there's already so many homeschoolers that have used Outschool before, last year, but it's so cool that you found them there too, and that you found this love for online teaching. So amazing. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead. I want to hear about your journey, Kelsey.
Okay. So I guess my total experience, like with kids, generally speaking, is about 15 years with like babysitting and like teaching like vacation Bible schools, like with church and that sort of thing. But I actually went to college for music education. And so I was really passionate about like being a band director or even a choir director. And I couldn't pass what's known as the praxis. I couldn't pass it to actually like move on to student teaching as a music teacher. So I did end up graduating with a bachelor's of science. It was just a bachelor's degree. And so when I graduated, I at least did substitute teaching. And so I've had experiences with substitute teaching in the public school system and also teaching swim lessons at my local Y. And then I discovered Montessori education and training to be a Montessori teacher. And I thought, I actually really like this method of learning. This really interests me. I want to see if there's a way that maybe I'm not able to be a music teacher, but maybe I can be a Montessori teacher. And so I discovered a program locally and I finished the program within a year, and it's really, really intense. But like even within my training, I had to have a brick and mortar Montessori teaching experience. And so I did that. I got certified, and I pretty much taught in the brick and mortar Montessori school setting for 3 years. And then I decided to leave for multiple reasons. But after I had left, I was like, do I still want to do teaching or do I want to do something else? And so my first online teaching journey, that is, was actually with VIP Kid. And that was in 2019. And I was like, I've heard other people like do VIP Kid. It's a fun little side gig. Yeah, why not? So I was able to do that for a year and a half. And while I was teaching with VIP Kid, there were other teachers that were talking about Outschool. And I was like, okay. So, and while I'm doing like VIP Kid and discovering Outschool, I'm doing like a full-time job that's not even relevant to teaching, by the way. So I discovered Outschool, I discovered the pay and how many hours you could work and you could teach whatever you want. And I was like, okay, I'll look into it. I might see if there's a way to do Montessori online. And so that's been a journey, because I literally started teaching on Outschool like a year ago to this month. Like I taught my very first class in August of 2020, and my profile exploded with one of my classes, and only teaching like 3 hours a day when I was available. And I was like, whoa, these classes are getting booked. I'm getting a lot of money. And so as I was progressing along, like teaching on Outschool and VIP Kid, I was realizing I was making a lot more money doing Outschool than VIP Kid. So I made the decision in January of 2021, so very early in the year this year, that I said, I think I'm going to try being a full-time online teacher with Outschool. And I've been doing that for 6 months now, essentially. And it's probably still the best decision I've ever made for myself. I feel like I've never been happier, like teaching online, essentially.
That is incredible. I loved hearing about that. I am also a VIP Kid original. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been doing that forever. It will be 4 years in October. And it's so crazy that it led me to Outschool as well. But I'm so happy that you jumped all in. You were like, let's do it full time. It's working. Let's keep it going. That's so cool. And I haven't been that brave yet, but I think that's amazing to hear from you. And it gives me so much courage to know, like, it's working for you. And it's not only financially, but that you don't regret it at all. You're like, yes, this is the best decision. So awesome, Kelsey. All right, let's jump to Erica. I want to hear about you and your background.
All right, so I'm Canadian. So I did my undergrad in studio art and psychology, and then I did my master's in art therapy. So my background's pretty diverse, really. But as soon as I finished my master's, I kind of got the travel bug and spent 5 years living abroad. So I was living in Australia for 2 years, and then I moved to Italy and Croatia. And when I was living in Italy, it was very, very hard to find work. Pretty much the only thing I could do was teach English. And so I was teaching at an English school in Italy, but also decided to start working for another Chinese ESL. I worked for Palfish since like 2018, I believe. So I was traveling. And then I ended up coming home to Canada in January of 2020, and I had come home originally just to do like a visa run, and then got stuck at home because of COVID. And this is the longest I've been in Canada the longest I've been in Ontario for about 10 years. So it was a bit of a shock for me. And so we spent like a year like all of last year continuing doing like the Chinese hours. So I was waking up at 4 a.m. and it was like really kicking my butt, especially because I'm actually pregnant. And so during my first trimester, it was really, really difficult to get through like those hours. And so I had heard about Outschool as well through Teachers on Palfish. And I was honestly very nervous about it at first because, you know, you kind of get used to having all of your curriculum created for you. And then the idea of having to make everything yourself was kind of like super overwhelming, even though I have done it before. I used to teach art lessons at kids camps. I've worked with people with disabilities where I was creating all of this curriculum for them. But for some reason, the idea of doing it on my own for an online program just like felt super overwhelming. But in January of this year, I was like, okay, no, I need to do this. And so at first I started out just part-time Outschool, and I was still doing Palfish as well. But then once I became pregnant, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so much. I can't do both. And I was doing really well on Outschool. And so June, just like 3 months ago, I was like, okay, no, I'm just going to go all in. And right away I was hitting my goal per week. And so it's been such a great decision. Like, also the same as Kelsey, like definitely do not regret at all jumping into this and feeling excited and passionate about what I'm doing again. Like, it's been a long time since I felt that way. So it's definitely been a good journey, even though it's been much shorter than everybody else. So
That's incredible. That is such a cool journey, especially going from, you know, the world travels and being like, okay, now I'm stuck at home.
yeah.
Amazing. And I love that you said excited and passionate about it, because that's one of the requirements, right? To create your classes and to be a teacher on there. But you can tell you're still excited and passionate. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, I'll do that for the application. Like, you're still excited and passionate about it. And I think that's what leads to the most success, not finding, you know, something that you can fit into you, but something that you can share with others, that you're already excited and passionate about it. So exciting. I'm looking through the chat right now, and there's a friend. She says, I joined a year ago and I've done everything except submit my application. Just fear it's pathetic. You know what? It's so scary. It took me like 6 months with a VIP kid to do it. It took me 3 months with Outschool, a little bit shorter, but I'm the person that I'm like, I'll watch and see if it works out for them. I'll see if it works. And so I love sharing my experience on YouTube here and other teachers, because we all had that fear. We all were like, I don't want to film myself teaching a lesson because it's going to be awkward, right? We were all like, oh, that's weird. And I don't know how to create lesson materials. Like Erica was saying, she's like, that is intimidating. I know how to do it. That's just intimidating, especially when you come from the ESL world where they say, here you go, teach this. It's so easy. It's incredibly intimidating. So you're not pathetic. You're normal. We all felt that way. And hi, John. He has been a client of mine. He's so fun to work with, and he's so nice. So hi. Welcome. And he's being so kind in the comments. Let's go ahead. We're going to jump to the next section where I had a few questions prepared for you guys just to answer. You guys can jump in with whatever you feel comfortable answering. But if you guys viewing it have any questions for them, go ahead and type it in the chat box. And at the end, we will get to the Q&A portion where they can answer those questions too. And we might cover it too. So just be watching out for that. So the first thing I want to ask is, how many hours per week do you guys teach?
I can start with that. So, I mean, I classify myself full-time because this is the only thing that I'm doing, but I probably only teach 20 to 25 like actual live hours of classes. And so I would say that I'm probably doing about 30 hours a week when I like include my prep and everything. So, So it's very like a shortened week, which I like. It's pretty nice.
I would consider that full time. Just
Teaching, that
I would
is. Like if you think
yeah.
about people who teach in a public or private school, that's about what they actually teach in a week. If you think about it.
Exactly. I would consider that full time, especially because mine's so much shorter. You're doing like 3 times the amount. So I'm like, yeah, that's full time. Definitely.
I think.
And anybody else?
I
think
teach.
for me,
Go ahead, Kelsey.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a little bit different. I actually just did the math recently on like how many hours like per week I worked, and I realized like the summer was actually a little bit more because of where I'm teaching summer camps. And so those are about 40-minute camps. I usually do about 3 of them, sometimes 4 if I have families that are like, could you do it at this time, or, either earlier or later? And, and I'm like, okay, sure. So, but I normally averagely like teach about 3 hours a day, like, which,
Awesome.
it's not, I mean, I know it's not like a full 8 hours, like a typical like 9 to 5 job. But at the same time, like, not only am I teaching live like 2-3 hours a day, but I'm also doing like other stuff like related to like my YouTube channel and social media and affiliate marketing, like other ways that I can serve families too. So so that's all like behind the scenes that like nobody ever like gets to witness me making flex classes, or making materials for families, doing social media. There's all that other aspects that could count as like the rest of the 5 hours of my day.
Oh, there's a lot of admin in this job that I don't think people take into consideration, which like you don't have when you're teaching at an ESL company, besides like doing your notes at the end, which I love that Outschool does not require us to do notes, by the way.
Yes. I mean, unless I feel really compelled, like unless I feel really compelled to like message a parent, like, yes, just so you know, your kid did great, like otherwise it's like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to do that.
Right. Yes. Awesome. And
so
Evelyn,
my teaching hours have been 20 hours a week. This fall there'll be 22 because I added 2 ongoing courses that'll meet once a week. But I only teach on Monday through Thursday. And so really my day runs from like 8 in the morning, because that's when I do my admin stuff. My classes start at 9 or 10. And then I teach 5 hours on one day and 6 hours on the other section day. So but I love having Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I will actually, like, if I get notes from parents, I will snooze until, and then I deal with that on Monday, unless it's something that just has to be dealt with. Like, I can't find the homework, right? Okay, so I'll do that. But that's how it works out for me, including the admin time, which is time consuming. So
right. I like that you call it admin time, because that is what it is. It's messaging the parents, getting them the right schedule, rearranging, different things, being like, oh, okay, the link's not working. Here's this link. Here's it's behind the scenes stuff that you're like, nobody sees it but you. And it does take part of your time. And so that is,
I will say, and I don't know if this is if this is the time for it, but I actually only teach 3 classes. I just teach multiple sections of those 3 classes. So that's all I do, is teach the same 3 classes, which is really cool because I know the material like the back of my hand now, but each class is different because each class has different kids. And so when we're discussing literature, which is what we do, it's a different ball game every class because every kid brings a different perspective. So it's really kind of fun to make them, it varies a lot.
Yeah. I love that.
Oh, sorry.
We had a little glitchy moment.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
We know how that is. We've all experienced that.
Yes. Definitely when it's like a student trying to explain something.
Like, I don't know how I can
Right.
help
Turn
you.
your video feed off. Try turning your video feed.
Yes. Everybody can jump in and help.
I know,
That's
like, for
awesome.
me, like,
Well,
you're talking about the amount of classes that you teach. Like, I probably have my drawing class is my most popular, and I think I have like 13 sections of it right now.
Wow.
And so I run that, and my classes are mostly jam-packed into like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I have one class on Friday morning. And so I use my Monday as my admin day, and then most of my Friday I take off. So my art classes, the way that I've scheduled those is like a bit crazy because I don't like to teach the exact same thing every single lesson. So I'm constantly like rotating my schedule. So I have to keep like a running tab of like what's done each week and like what we're doing next week and making sure that I have all of that prepped. But once you have everything prepped for these classes, which so you run time for one section, and then you've got all of that ready for all of those other sections, which is fantastic. It's so nice. But yeah, exactly what you said. It's different with every single, section because every single group of kids is going to be different. And some kids you have like nobody's talking the entire time. And some like it's like chatterboxes. So.
yes. I told my husband that the other day. I had my 6:30 class that I was just like, oh, they're all off the wall. They're doing different things. They're interrupting. They're like so crazy. And then my next class was like little angels. And I'm like, they're so sweet. I have to get through the 6:30 to get to the 7. No,
Yes.
But the 6:30 had a lot more interaction too than the 7. So it's just so fun. And I love that you said that. Each class might be the same material, but it's different because of what the kids bring. There's a whole group of different kids coming in each one. So I love that, you guys. That was awesome. And it went perfectly. So I want to talk about, do you spread out the classes? Like, do you teach them this many times in a row, or do you take breaks? What are your experiences with that?
I actually screenshot my schedule if you want me to share it so you can see it. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if it'll work if I do that. Let me see. Let's see. Let's try and see if it'll let me. Chrome tab. Here we go. Let's see if it's up here. I don't know if it's on this one. No, it's not up anymore. It won't let me screenshot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now I have to get out and I have no idea how to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gone.
Now she's out. She'll be back.
Well, I could share mine,
Yes.
what I'm doing. So in order for me to successfully work at home with teaching online classes, what I'm deciding to do to especially transitioning into like my fall schedule and away from the summer schedule, I am offering like 1 or 2 classes in the morning, like starting at about 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I have a chunk of break like from 10 to 1. And 1 o'clock is 1 o'clock is my start time for camps. But in between that time, I'm making sure that I do all the other things related to my
Right.
business, whether that be making a YouTube video, social media, whatever, or even admin time. Like if I have a parent that's like, I can't find the attachments, so making sure
Right.
they're taken care of in that aspect too. So it kind of helps, like if I know that I have to get up early in the morning to teach it, it kind of helps me get started for the day, and it makes sure that I get all that I need to do during the day too, and then finish out the day teaching the rest of my classes that I have in the afternoon, and then that's essentially my work day.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I actually start really early. So I start at 7 in the morning on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I found out that I've actually captured like a lot of like the Asian and Europe market doing that. And I mean, I'm used to waking up at 4 in the morning, so it was like not a big deal for me to do that. And so I have my earliest class is about 7 and I go till about 11. with some different ongoing classes, and I try to like fill that section with like some of my one-time classes too. And then I start again more in the afternoon, like after 2:00. And my latest ongoing class is at 6:00, but I only run that Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so I'm trying to capture like as many different time zones as possible. And this is also because I'm pregnant right now. So I'm just trying to see like what kind of range can I get? And like, you know, when I do have a baby, like how can I capture that like within what's going to work for me and my partner? And so I'm just trying to like open the scope as wide as possible right now because I don't have anything else kind of hindering me right now. So I might as well take advantage.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think that's awesome. And
Well,
Evelyn,
sorry about
did
that.
you-
I guess that was a real prime example for everyone of exactly what happens in a class. So when I teach on Monday, Wednesday classes. So all my my classes go 2 days a week. So they're Monday, Wednesday, and they start at 10 and I end at 5, but I have breaks in between. So I only have on Mondays and Wednesdays, I only ever have 2 classes together at one time, and then back to back. And then on then Tuesday, Thursday, those classes actually start at 9 and go till 6, but I have a section that has 3 in a row. So I actually do teach 3 in a row at one point on those days. But my classes also only meet for 12 weeks, and I just work the whole year on a trimester. So I really only teach for 36 weeks.
Gotcha. Well, that's the different experiences, what's working for you. And so interesting is I think you're an EF account, you use those and for myself works I got to teach, and I'm mom during the day, so I can't teach during the day. So I love you're doing, some of you are doing the 10 to 5, some of you are doing early mornings.
I don't know if you know this, Stephanie, but you're
morning.
really breaking up. I don't know how well that's recording.
Yeah.
I just thought I would let you know. It's
okay.
really, really choppy. We can barely understand you,
Yeah.
so I'm not
Thank
sure
you.
how well it's
Thank
going to record. You might, I mean, I don't know
Is it better now?
It would help or not. I don't know.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna
also really
switch to my
Changing Wi-Fi's. I always have to do that in the class. I'm thinking of actually getting a one of those hotspot things because I lost internet the other day and I had to cancel a whole day of classes. It was
Oh my
horrible.
gosh.
Oh,
No.
Nightmare, honestly.
oh no.
There you go. That looks
It's
a little
too-
better, Stephanie.
It's too bad
Okay.
Outschool doesn't
Switch
have the
to
switch
my
line
hotspot.
features like B2B Kid.
I didn't know what that was. I
Right.
just moved them all to
Right.
Friday. I just moved them all to Friday
Yes.
since I have Fridays off. So that worked out. Welcome back, Stephanie.
Awesome. Well, is it working okay now?
It is better.
Yeah,
Yep,
better?
it's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just trying to
Went to my
interpret.
phone's hotspot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you have
just,
to do that.
you're gonna have
sometimes,
to read my lips, and I'm gonna be roboting for a minute here.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's how it is in class, though. Sometimes
Mhm.
it'll cut out, and they'll go, "What?" And you're like, "Okay." And I always have my backup hotspot. We're gonna try that.
Right.
Let's keep going here. What time zones do you guys teach in?
I'm EST.
And what, I guess, EST.
EST.
I'm Central.
Awesome.
I'm Central.
Awesome. And what time zones do you mostly teach to?
So, I mean, I've gotten like all of the Asian kind of, I've had students in Asia, Europe, South America, and then across all of North America. So I cover EST and PST. I probably would say that like EST and PST are my most, though. Yeah.
I feel
Awesome.
like lately for Outschool world that we're trying to cater more to like the PST, like all the kids in the Pacific time zone areas. So ideally, like I would love to be able to like teach some classes like in the morning and then but then like by the time I get to the evening, I'm already like pooped. I'm already tired. And so it's like I would love to teach like early on so I can reach these kids that are like 3 hours behind me, but I'm so tired. I don't know if I'm going to be the best teacher for you if I'm over here, near asleep. And I'm sorry, I can't be
Right.
passionate about the planets if I'm tired.
Right.
So what I try to do, like I said, teach just that little bit. And then even while I'm like doing other things in between, if I need to just take a moment to like just chill, just veg out, then I will. So that way I at least have that little spurt of energy in the afternoon. So that's what I'm
Awesome.
going to try to do for the fall, is to have a little more focus towards evening like times, at least try, because it seems
Right.
like that's where all the attention is in the West Coast. Then
Yeah.
like,
And I don't ever get any Pacific time zone because my classes start at 6:30 for me. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if any kids are going to wake up at 5:30 to do multiplication.
Yeah.
So
Their parents might sign them up.
I teach mostly, I think, in the US time zones. But I have students, I've forgotten names and they're not all up there again. The one who's expecting.
Oh.
You said that you teach a lot of the other zones. So I have students from Europe. I've got my first student from Moscow this coming year, this coming term. I'm really excited. I've had students from South America. I think probably really, I've just not had students from like Australia, but otherwise I've had students from all over. And I teach the time I teach, and I'm people will write me and they say, well, can you please do a class? I'm like, I'm sorry, that's my family time. This is when I work, and I want to do whatever I can to help you, but this is when I work. So I actually had a parent who was looking for one of my 5th grade classes, and I said, well, I don't have that in a time zone that would work for you, but I have 4th grade classes if you want to look at them. So she looked at them and she registered for 4th grade and then asked me to create a 5th grade that would work better for them. So the kid is going to do my class at 10 to 10:50 at night, their time.
Oh my gosh.
This time, but then next class, they'll be doing it at 9, because she said, if you'll just do it 1 hour earlier, that'll work for me. And then I've had students who actually get up and do my school before they do their school. So I've had students in Asian countries who get up and they're doing my school before they go to school. And then they're getting in their car, or maybe they're Pacific, I don't know, but they got in their car at the end of class and they're riding to school while they're still finishing up my class. So it's been interesting to see how parents accommodate, they work around my schedule. And that's gratifying because I'm glad they want the class, but it may not work for everyone, but it's worked for me to just say, sorry.
Yeah.
It's really, oh no, go ahead.
It's at the beginning, like, you kind of feel obligated, like you're trying to get started out, right? And so you're like, oh, I should really do this. Like, I've had a few people who wanted me to teach classes at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, man, no, I'm exhausted by then. Like, I'm up at 6 in the morning. There's no way I could possibly do that. Like, teaching at 6 at night is hard enough, That's kind of, and I've had to put that like limit down. But I've had a lot of international people ask me to teach classes just like way out of my scheduled time, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, like, maybe this could work for you, and I just kind of like try to redirect them, but there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
But it's always nice when you like your class.
Yeah.
It is.
One thing for me is, I mean, Erica, you were talking about like you feel obligated to like meet those, to say, yeah, I'm willing to work with you, and that said, but what about like for your sake, to just be the best teacher you can be. What I like to do, because my flex classes that I have on Outschool are related to like some of my most popular live classes that I teach, and I'll get requests like, can you teach at 2 a.m.? And I'm just like, absolutely not. I'm sorry. I'm sleeping I'm sleeping during that time. If you really want to take this course, please take the flex option. Otherwise, like it's like either, if you really want to take my lessons, like take the flex option. I mean, otherwise,
Right.
I guess good luck finding another teacher,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, boundaries are important in that respect. So, I
Right.
mean, you may be willing to do like some accommodations like every now and then, but then if you don't really get it under control, then it does get out of control. And then you're like, oh no, why
And
did I
that's what
sign up
causes
to do
burnout.
this? And then,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, it's one
Well,
of those things you have to put your foot down on
yes.
personal
I think it's so
boundaries.
important. Well, I'm going to move on to the next question was what we were going to talk about anyway, but John asked it, so I'm going to share what he said. How long after getting started did it take for you all to get adequate bookings? I'm still having classes cancel, and then I'm uncanceling them, but it's too late. So who wants to answer that one?
Well, I started about this time last year with my public speaking classes, and it was crickets. I had a few learners here and there, but it just didn't take off, and I was kind of going, I don't know what's going to happen. And then a parent requested a class, and I thought it was interesting because I've heard others say, wow, this one class became popular, and that's what kind of like bounced it off. I think everyone has had that experience. And so it was this one class, and I created 2 sections because I was thinking, okay, I don't want to be too over. They filled. I created 2 more and they filled. So once that one class filled, I was like, ooh, I think I might have found a niche here, right? So I think for John, I think it's really important to keep looking for that one class that's really going to bounce you to the forefront, and to make you suddenly popular. I don't like that term so much, but to make the parents see it. I also started following my followers. And what I'm saying with that is the classes that were the most popular, had the most followers. I started focusing on those. I gave all my attention to those classes, and I kind of let the others sit over there to the side until I finally canceled them. But really, when I knew that I could do this full time was when last December I had listed my 10 January starting classes, and they were filled a month in advance, and I had a waiting list. And I was like, okay, I calculated everything. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make that much this year if they all make, right? And I kind of gave myself like a window. I'm going to make between this and this. If I make this, it's not my happy place, but I can survive. But if I make this, it's a very, very happy place. And I have come in a little on the high side. So that's a good thing. So I hope that helps a little bit. Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. That's awesome.
For me, like, because I really only been doing this since January, right? The end of January. And I jumped in full time in June. And so I had a really similar story in that, like, I had a parent ask for a drawing class that kind of started with the basics. And I had some other art classes on there, but not an ongoing one or anything like that. So I made this ongoing class, and it just like took off. And that's the one that I have like 13 sections in now. And so I teach art and world geography. And so I've kind of found a way to to kind of combine a few of them. And that's also worked too. And so for me, it was like really like listening. I'm constantly checking on Facebook groups too. Like, what are parents asking for? And if I can provide that for them, I'm like jumping on it and like saying, okay, I either have this or I know that I can make this for you. And it's something that I'm going to be excited about making. And so for me, it was, I started in January. When I took off, like decided to be like full-time in June, I was already making my like weekly goal. And since then, it's only gone up. Like, I'm making at least my minimum weekly goal. And last week was my highest week yet. For whatever reason, I just had a really, really high week. So
it's exciting.
I'm a bit nervous. I don't know what to expect for the school year, to be honest, because I haven't done it really, especially since like now that kind of schools are going back. I don't really know what to expect, but I'm like trying out with different class types, and so just like seeing how it goes. I would definitely just encourage people to continue to exactly, what, I guess we don't have people's names up anymore.
Oh, sorry.
But just exactly what you said, right? Like follow what your followers are saying. Like if they're really liking one class, if they're liking an ongoing class, like make multiple options of that. And like, so I started making a multi-day class. Someone just requested one from me where they wanted a multi-day class for my drawing class instead. And so I made like a part one of like, okay, these are the 8 basic lessons that you can do for like, you know, when you're wanting to be a beginning artist, and this is what you should learn. And, you know, that it's always good to like just keep on that stream. Yeah. So
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think for my personal experience, when I first started out on Outschool, I had in the forefront of my mind like Montessori, like trying to find a way to do Montessori online. And so I started out with like original Montessori materials and finding a way to try to do it online. And so I was offering those classes, and like my very first day of teaching, it was literally on August 1st, 2020. And I only taught 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 classes, one in each. And I was willing to do, you know, the one student in there. They were delighted, of course. And I only made like, what, $14? Like I offered them kind of cheap, you know, just to try to get my name out there and all. And then it really was like during that time when parents were sending out the requests for like certain classes, like in the emails, I saw one for the solar system for 5-year-olds. And I was like, oh, I love talking about the planets, you know? So I made a class and somehow it exploded. It just exploded. Like even before I taught my first class, it was like I was getting these emails like section full, section full, section full, section full. I was like, whoa, like this is I was not expecting this, because first going into Outschool, I had this mentality of like the VIP kid mentality. Like it was going to be like really, really slow at first. It might be looking like Swiss cheese, you know, bookings, like, you know, it might be a super slow start, you know, and when that exploded and I was teaching the class, I was like, I have to teach this class, you know, more than just once a day or twice a day. Like I was teaching it like 4 or 5 times a day. Because
that's awesome.
Whew, yeah. And so I realized like, and then the more I was teaching the solar system class, like, and then of course I was making more classes, and families are like, oh, we would love to take more classes with you. And I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to have to I'm going to have to make some more classes for you. And so, you know, and of course, so it's those connections from that first class that they're now taking everything else that I'm offering now, and they're just, of course, they keep asking for more, and I'm just like,
you're good.
And then because I was also working a full-time job at first, I could only offer one-time classes at that time. So it really wasn't until I started this journey full-time that I was like, okay, let's experiment more with ongoing now that I have the availability to do that ongoing. And so I'm still experimenting with that a little bit, but it's just those first connections that was able to help me like explode my profile, like in a way to where it's just like, I'm making more money doing this than I am working at my full-time job, even on overtime. And I mean, I was in a healthcare job, so it was a lot of hours. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. I make so much more money when I'm just teaching online.
Yes.
So,
well,
and I mean, and even when I started, it kind of has been a little up and down, but like, it's still like enough. Like it's like, we're okay. Like, and we're still meeting goals. And so, yeah.
Yes. Well, that is awesome. And speaking of healthcare, those people are not burnt out at all right now, right? This is my awkward segue into, do you ever get burnt out teaching full time? And what do you do to not be burnt out? What are your best tips?
For me, scheduling my classes, like a strict schedule. So I run from mid-September to early December. Then I run from mid-January to early April. And then I run from mid-May to mid-August. And those are, so I know, okay, I'm going to get 4 weeks off I'm going to get 4 weeks off coming soon. This, honestly, summer was the first time, though, that I got to the end and I was not like, this is going to be my last class today. You know, because it gets hard 12 weeks in a row of, you know, daily classes. But I think that's what helps me, is just knowing I've got this schedule. I know I'm going to get 4 weeks off. And so that's what works for me.
Yeah, I think the flexibility in this job is what's like really, you know, what makes it easy for me too. Like, I haven't been burnt out yet, because I feel like I'm still so new at like doing this full-time thing. I was 100% burnt out when working for Palfish, like so burnt out. But I just like kept pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. And I think for this, like, I mean, before I used to constantly take vacations where every single month I was taking a week off and I was going on a trip. And that was my goal last year. But then obviously COVID was like, no, you can't do that. And so this year, like, I'm definitely going to, you know, use the flexibility for my advantage. The fact that I only like schedule for like midweek and make sure that I have pretty much 4-day weekends, like, makes it really manageable as well. So, you know, just the fact that you can literally make this work for your schedule, and everyone's constantly asking, you know, like, what time is the best time to book? The best time to book classes is what works for you. And that's the biggest thing that I like about Outschool, is that like, you have the flexibility to make this schedule work for you. So, and you will get students because you can get them anywhere in the world. And so it really, really works to your advantage to just do what's best for your mental health and your family and yourself. And just take that into like full consideration. You know, like, you're not obligated to do any of these extra classes that people ask you to do. You do what's best for you and make it work. And that's how, for me, that's what's been working for me. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. I think that's so good too.
I also have to go. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No.
And thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, nice to meet
Thanks,
you, Erica.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
If you guys want to check out any of Erica's classes and things, I've left her stuff in the description box, so you can see that all there. It's kind of funny. We're like, I don't know how to change it.
That's
I'm
okay.
too scared
Now
to
I'm gonna
play
put my hair
around.
again now.
I know. Now we're like,
okay, it's all good. It's just a little floppy thing going on.
Oh, so do I ever get burnt out? Yes. And I am terrible at giving myself grace and giving myself a break. And so I think what Erica said just now is like something that I need, like, preach to me like every single day. Like, if you just need a moment, it's okay. If you just need to take a nap instead of editing a video, that's okay. Like, telling myself like, this is okay if you just need a moment, or, you know, or if you get an email from a parent at 8:00 at night while you're playing a board game with your husband, like, it's okay to wait until tomorrow. It's okay to wait until tomorrow.
You know, I snooze those emails and just I see them in the morning. The other thing that I would say about that is that I had parents really wanting me to teach the next level of the courses. So I teach 4th and 5th grade language arts, and they wanted a 6th grade. And I'm like, I just don't think I can do it. I feel like I'm right where I need to be. I don't need any more. I feel like it's going to be too much. So I searched Outschool for a teacher that taught in a similar manner to me. And I found her, and she created the 6th grade class. And then I'm just telling all the parents, go to her. Go to her. And so it benefits her, but it also benefits me because I don't feel guilty anymore. Because I feel like my kids have a really viable option that matches my teaching style.
Yeah. And I guess that's another reason why I also like push flex classes for me personally, is because I want to be able to like have families understand, like, you don't have to wait for me. Like, and then, you know, if you're wanting me to teach at 10:00 at night, like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, so you can have this option. And of course you can watch the lessons whenever you want. Like, you could even, I have it set up where you can watch them 2 months from now if you wanted to, you know, like, you really truly can do it at your own pace. You don't have to wait for me. I don't have to wait for you. And it's just because I want more freedom. in my life. Like if I have to focus a little more on YouTube videos, okay, you know, I have more freedom to do that, or social media, or if I need a week just to see my family or just to sleep, you know, like to have that freedom is amazing, you know. It's so and even my husband and I agreed, because this week has actually been like really, really stressful for me, burnt out stuff. And my husband's like, okay, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal for you. How about you take a week off every 3 months? Like, you know, for sure you are going to have a week off from teaching and everything every 3 months. So that way
that is
you
such a
do
great
not
idea.
get, because I mean, technically I have been going like 6 months straight of teaching and social media. Like, I have not really given myself a break.
Right.
And so it's like, why don't we do it every 3 months so that you don't get so burnt out? And then just listening to my body and being okay with that.
Right. And I like that. It's almost like a staycation. You don't have to plan anything. You don't have to have something that like excuses you from teaching other than yourself. Like, I just need the break.
Right.
I just need my own break right now. I think that's awesome. Just kind of to wrap up, a lot of the comments in the comments section were just talking about being scared to apply or to get started submitting lessons. What is your best advice for any teachers that aren't teaching successfully right now? They don't have the full-time schedule locked in like you guys. What's your best advice for getting started with all those things?
So you want after they've been approved or before they jump in?
Either. So okay. I guess before they jump in.
So before you jump in, I think my biggest advice, and I have mentored a few families through this, and actually my daughter's also an Outschool teacher, is that cohesion in your application, I think, is the biggest thing. And I think that they're looking for, and they quickly can spot that. They can spot whether you have knowledge in the area you're teaching the lesson, the sample lesson. They also can spot very quickly whether you have this class prepared in your sample class written matches the sample class you're doing. And I think that's kind of what they look for very quickly. And if you don't have that, they realize that you can't write a lesson plan. And so if you can't write that lesson plan that gets you hired, they're like, well, she's probably not gonna be able to write a lesson plan at all. So I think that's the key as far as for me in the application. I did spend about a month and a half working on it. So I will say that I didn't just throw it together and put it up there. I was intentional and worked on it. And then as far as the classes go, I just kept throwing them out there and trying them for a week or two, a month or two. And it really wasn't long before I found that one. And I hate that they don't have the same thing that they did back then, where we would get the list and we could follow that link, but it is on Facebook now. So there is a way where parents can make requests in a Facebook group. And so just keep clicking on Outschool Facebook groups. There's one of them. And I've actually connected my daughter with, she's not on Facebook, but I've connected my daughter with a couple of those requests and gotten her students through those requests. So they do work.
That is such a great advice that I've never thought of, but like seeing those parent requests through Facebook and going, oh, a lot of people want this, and I can do it. I love that.
I got that Moscow student from that, actually.
Yeah.
Was a Facebook. They were like, we need a 5th grade language arts. And I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I think pretty much what you said, Evelyn, that's pretty much what I was going to say, was offering your, whatever classes you're really, really passionate about, like multiple times a day, and try to keep like a consistent time that you're offering it to. But another thing I also want to add, because there is a Facebook group for like free and discounted classes. Now I steer clear from offering like free, just because if you are doing this full time, you got to make money somehow. That's my idea. But for like a brief period of time, just to get a following and just get like regular families coming in and wanting to take your ongoing classes and that sort of thing, to offer your classes at a discount. like whether that be for like 2-3 weeks, and that I think that's what sort of helped me out, because I mean I'm kind of actually doing a big sale right now, and it like $20 and under, just to get people to like apply, like with the $20 credit thing.
Yeah.
Just, it's like, hey, you get to basically try this for free if you never tried Outschool. So, and if you don't like it, oh well, you didn't lose any money, you just lost time.
Right.
So but that's like free advertising for like on that group saying, hey, I'll take off $5 if you sign up for this class, or do a sale with the credit thing. Because when I did that, like I think not this past week, but the last week, like the majority of my camps that I offered were like almost full. Like
Wow.
after I did the sale, and I was like, oh, this is
amazing.
kids.
Yeah.
Like, because usually I had a regular price and I only have like 3-4 kids. And I'm like, oh, this is nice.
So I will say, from my perspective, I tried that. I got no students.
Really?
Nobody signed up for any of my classes with a discount. They were like, I mean, I guess we don't want that. And so I kind of stopped going that direction. But once my classes took off, then the only discounts I offer are sibling, and only if parents ask. I don't pursue that because my classes fill up. And so I'll have 96 students before I start in the fall. And then I'll have 96 students for 12 weeks. And that's enough for me.
So yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
I think that's so good. And it's cool that the two different experiences were different with that, because I'll tell people that and they're like, I still don't have students. And I'm like, there's so many different factors. It's not a science of like, you do this happens. It's supply and demand. It's the time of year. It's what's happening in the world. And it's just, there's so many different factors. But I think something that I did that helped me get more enrollments was offering it to friends and family with that $20 credit and just saying, I would so appreciate it if you would help my small online teaching business by taking this class. It helps me get reviews. It helps get like people following me on there, and then more students will come. And that's how mine took off. I had a friend who her daughter took my mythological creatures class, and she showed, you get to make your own mythological creature at the end. She showed her little llamacorn at the end to other friends, and they took the class, and it took off from there.
Right.
But it was
sometimes
so
word of mouth is your best advertising.
Yeah. And it was so hit and miss before that. But just sharing my link, you get an Outschool link to refer parents to sign up, and they get a $20 credit to have students take it. Just sharing that on Facebook, on my neighborhood Facebook group, just saying, hey, if your kids need something to do while they're in quarantine, take this class. It might be fun, and just giving them that and going, it's free. It's free for you because I've discounted it to this. So that was something that helped me. But I tell people it's not a science. They'll ask me all the time, how do I price my classes? I'm like, I can't even tell you the best thing for my own, because it's an experiment all the time. Supply and demand. I'm fully booked. I keep raising my prices. Then I'm not booked and I'm lowering them. And it's just not a science. So I can't totally say.
When I raised my prices, it was pretty funny. So I was filling up, my classes were filling up. And so I decided to raise my prices. And so it had been, I'll just say it because I don't care, but it had been like $230, and I raised it to $290 because I thought it kind of looked a little like $230. Maybe people wouldn't notice too much, but I was able to fill the classes. So I teach all multi-day except for a couple of ongoing, but it just was, I was like, how do I do that so that maybe I don't offend anyone? But it didn't affect the signups, and it helped me feel better about my time.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And so just to the people who are watching this, just do the free route or discounted route, like very, very briefly, because you don't want to discount yourself.
Right.
So because like you said, like there are families that are going to come up, whether your course is $10 or $50, like the price tag is not really going to matter. Like you do the discounts so that way you can get some sort of traction and traffic for your job. But like that 30% that they take out on the pay, Outschool's doing something to push your classes forward. And someone's going to be like, yeah, that's a reasonable rate. I'll pay $50 for this class.
So,
So
Kelsey, somebody was asking me about that, and they were like, man, they take 30%. And I was like, no. I never even think about the 30%. I just think I'm getting 70%. And so I look at what do I want to get out of the class? Then I have to price it 30% more. That's the way I look at it. So I don't think of it as, I think for new teachers, they kind of like, 30%, what's that? But it's not really, if you think of it the opposite way. You just think, okay, I wanted to make $200 a class. So in order to do that, I got to price my class at $290. And that's how I figured that price out. So it was really, thinking about it that way. So I get it, Kelsey, but I'm like, really, it's kind of the opposite if you think about it.
Right.
Is the glass 70% full, or is it 30% less?
Right.
It's like, what's your perspective on it? And somebody told me, I mentioned this yesterday on Instagram, that every company takes a percentage. They're not going to tell you the percentage sometimes. Sometimes they'll tell you, you make this much, but in the end, a parent is paying so much, you're getting paid a certain amount, and there's a percentage there. So every company takes a percentage.
I think,
in my opinion, Outschool is less.
I think that it's kind of nice that Outschool says it up front, exactly what the numbers are. They're very open as far as that goes. And I really love it because you can watch it. And I've worked for companies where it shifts and changes from month to month. And I'm like, dude, what happened? Right. And so I'm really grateful that they're very upfront with that and clear.
Would anyone be interested if Outschool did a thing where it's like, oh, you only pay so much a year, but they only take like 5% or 10% or even no percent? Like,
no, that boggles my mind.
Conversations with other online teachers about this, because it's like, I don't know if I really like them taking 30% of my pay, but also hearing, like, doing the math on like actually adding 30% more, that makes sense. So I'm just, I'm always curious. Like, I wonder if there are teachers who would be willing to like pay that up front a year just so they don't have that much taken out on their take home pay, essentially. Well, like,
I think it kind of balances out in the end, because like for me, I get paid really technically 3 times a year. Right. So because I teach 3 rounds of classes, so I have to like set that money back, right? I can't, buy a car, right? I can't do that because that's got to last. And I've got college tuition to pay for my kiddos and things like that. So, if you were to pay up front, so that may be really hard on somebody to pay that much up front, right? So it all kind of varies on how you live off of that money, right? Do you set it back and parse it out yourself, or do you kind of month to month need that? So it kind of would depend on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thanks for sharing that, because I've never really thought of it that way, honestly.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. This was such a good discussion, and so cool to see you guys as full-time teachers. I'm like, man, you guys are killing it, and so cool to hear your experiences. To anybody that's applying, I saw a lot of comments with applying. You're stuck with the lesson planning phase. We're cheering for you. You've got this. If you need any help, you can reach out to us, and we're happy to help each other and help people succeed on Outschool, because it helps each of us as well. And I will leave all my links below. If you need any help with applying, I have a ton of free resources here on YouTube. I also have a free guide that walks you through every single question, how to do the video, what it's like for pricing and scheduling, all of that. It's down below. I also offer a free live coaching session every Friday. It's like my open office hours. So you can come every Friday if you're one of my referrals, ask questions. And my goal with that is that you leave going, okay, this is my next step. This is what I do next, so that you can get through. You're not stuck. So if you're one of my referrals, you can do that. and I'll get you on the list if you email me. But if you have any questions, you can always email me, teachingstephanieo@gmail.com. And I will see you guys later. Thank you so much, teachers. I
Nice to
appreciate
meet
you guys.
you.
Yes, nice
Nice
to
to
meet you.
meet you.